We're now going to prepare ourselves for the application that we're going to use for this part of the course and within this module. HR have asked Danny to identify invalid employee records. It would appear that some employees do not have a valid social security number included within their personnel records. So Danny needs to be able to list those records that don't contain a valid social security number. When we look at grep here, again we're using the -v to reverse our search, and the -E, remember the -E, it says that we're using an enhanced regular expression, and we're going to need that for the quantifiers that we're using. Now of course we could go through and take a look at these by going through the slide, but it's going to be a lot more practical, and I think you can get a lot more out of it by jumping straight out to our Ubuntu desktop and having a look at how we can validate these SSNs. So welcome back to the command line of our Ubuntu desktop, and we're going to run through and take a look at our employees file. We've extracted some sample data to make it easy for us to work with. So if we just take a look at this sample data, so we've just extracted a few rows from the employees file, and we can see here that Bob does seem to have a correct SSN, whereas we look at Jane and she doesn't, and again we go down to characters like Michael and that SSN doesn't seem to be correct. Brad and Jack also seem to be missing a correct SSN. So let's look at how we can extract those records that have then a correct or incorrect SSN, really whichever way we want to do it. So if we go through and look for grep, if we want to look at the records that don't have a correct entry, then we're going to use -v to reverse the search, because of course it's going to be a lot easier to search for the SSN. So we can go through and use our enhanced regular expression, because we're going to be using those quantifiers within braces. Open up then our single quotes, and we can say that okay, we want a word boundary which is going to include things like the comma, and then we can go through and say that we need a digit, so 0 through to 9. And we can specify how many digits do we want? Well, we want 3 digits for the first part of the SSN. So we can say there we require 3 digits. We're then going to have a hyphen. So the hyphen is just plain text that we're putting in. Then again we're going to look for some more digits. Now we need 2 digits. So we can go 0 through to 9. And then again we just go through and say that we require 2 of those. How easy could this be? Again, we want then just a clear text hyphen, and then we require 4 numbers. So 0 through to 9, close off our brackets, open up our brace, put in the number 4. We're really rocking some here. And then we can put a word boundary, or we could even say it's going to be the end of the line. But in case we've got some odd spaces and things like that at the end, then we'll put our word boundary, being careful not to put the capital B in, because of course the capital B is looking for a non-word boundary. We're going to extract this then from the employees record, and sure enough we've got then Brad, Michael, Jack and Jane. If we go through and want to look at those with a correct employee record, then we remove the reversing of it. So we see Bob, Sally and Joanna. So now we have those users who have correct records. And of course, if we need this to persist, it's very easy just to redirect the output either of the incorrect ones or the correct ones through to a file. But you'll see later when we start looking at sed is really designed to be editing a file. So we could edit the file to remove it, but most likely we'd be writing to another file those users who had incorrect entries. So we can work on those to make sure somebody follows up with those users to get a correct social security number. So that's just amazing. We've built another application, and Danny and DIYRUS are doing really well. So let's jump back into the slides just to see how well they're really doing.